I gotta hit it every time. Got it. Sorry, I've already messed it up. Welcome back, everybody. I'm happy to start the April meeting. Can we do our roll call?
Phyllis Albert. I see her. Carmen Alvarez. No, is Carmen here? Okay.
I'll just throw in hello, everyone, now that I got my mute unmuted.
Hey, fellas. Bob?
Here.
Great. Jim Johnson?
Here.
Maggie Martirosian is here. Candy Martin? Shelley McClellan?
Yep, I'm here by phone.
Okay, great. Thank you. Michael Newitt?
Here.
Thank you. Felicia Pecora?
Here.
Thank you. And Abigail St. Clair?
Here.
Thank you.
So we have a quorum for the first time in 2021. Yay. The last time we met was in October of last year. Oh, do we have any public comment? Anybody online? Okay. So our next course of action is if everybody's had time to look over the minutes from October. Does anybody want to make a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 All
Aye.
those, anybody opposed? The minutes are approved. Budget review. If everybody's had a chance, anybody have any questions about the budget review, or director have any comments about budget review? There's 3 budgets, or 3 months worth, January, February, March, and then a quarterly source and use statement.
And Sean is here, as well as our county budget representative, Mark Lindley, Carissa, our accounting assistant, and Cheryl, our accountant, are on if you have any questions. So there was nothing specific that stood out to us in the preparation of this that we wanted to point out. Despite the fact that we have some libraries not up to full service, that doesn't seem to be affecting our spending.
I should bring up a question about our communications budget for old time's sake, but I don't have any questions. Anybody have any questions or comments? Let's see, Michael Newitt.
Well, I was just wondering on page 2 of 3, under the indirect administrative costs, boy, we were sure right on budget for $7.4 million. That's great. I was just surprised that we were able to do that.
It's a set amount. Our indirect administrative cost is a set amount, and it's taken as a lump sum once a year by county county budget.
That's great.
Yeah, so it's going to be whatever's allocated is going to be spent in full.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I just, I thought that was really terrific.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Can I make a motion to accept the budgets as presented?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion or questions regarding accepting these budgets as we see them? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Budget's accepted. The activity, quarterly source and use statement. Here we go. This is, but this is still budget. Did we not have an activity report? My favorite part.
Yeah, we'll email something to you
Okay.
to review. Because we had, at the last meeting, we had talked about during the weirdness of pandemic and the statistical anomalies, we were going to hold off on providing you anything. So we'll put some statistical package together and get it in email.
Okay.
Because the report was, as you realize, with so many services being at limited service or non-existent, it was just kind of a weird report of negative numbers.
On to unfinished business, an update on fiscal year 22-23 budget submission.
Sean McGarvey, our support division manager, is going to be joining us, so he can walk you through briefly our budget submission for this year. Sean?
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. So I would like to spend just a few minutes discussing with you our budget for the coming year. For starters, this will be a continuation budget for last year. That means that more or less everything that we had in the previous budget carries over into this budget. There are some things, though, that are different and that we would like to call your attention to. These are addressed in decision units that we have placed for various operational necessities and some basic housekeeping things. The first one, which is a basic housekeeping, is every year now we put in a decision unit to take the money we receive from lost items and spend it on items for the library system. So that's kind of a continuous decision unit that always goes in. Secondly, we have a decision unit regarding cost increases for contract renewals. This is just pretty much an increase into the cost of services that the library receives that go up over time. Some of them are built into the contract. Some of them are rate changes due to outside forces. It's all, it varies as to the individual contract and the rate increases, but we put those all together with the help of Mr. Lindley, our budget analyst, and we have put that as a decision unit for those increases. The third is an increase in the collection budget. You'll notice that it will be around $300,000. That is due to the fact that the state of Florida has cut state aid this year. State aid has been reduced, and this is our attempt to cover that difference created by the cut in state aid. We are working hard to make sure our collection stays as up to date and as robust as it has always been, and this is our attempt in a decision unit to complete that. The final we have is not a decision unit, it is an operational efficiency or a budget efficiency. We are proposing to dissolve the last of our part-time positions that we started in our 2018 reorganization. We are going to take those positions. We are going to create some full-time positions and save ourselves some budget cash by the final completion of this 2018 reorganization. So at that point, we will be all full-time positions within the county, or not within the county, within the library system. My apologies. I know that was a lot to digest. Is there any questions that I can help answer?
I want to add a little explanation, if I can. The only on the one of them, because I think as I was mentioning this earlier to someone, I think it's important. Sean mentioned a decision unit that we're doing to increase some contract costs. Normally in the budget year, we project and we say, this is how much we're going to spend on these services or contracts. And if they come in higher, we just absorb that by moving kind of money around in the budget. This year, we're projecting some of those increases, specifically things like security in our facilities. And we're putting the money in ahead of time so that other funds don't get shorted. So I think it's a kudos to Sean and his team for looking at the fact that we should increase these at the beginning and not short other fund amounts in the year to pay for them. So I just wanted to point that out.
That's really good, because the trend over the past few months has been higher violent crimes and mass shootings are back in the news again. So I'm glad that you guys are increasing the security budget and all that.
Yeah, and with right now with the measures that we have in place for safety in the libraries and the masking ordinances and the restrictions on use, it's even more important that we have additional security in the library, just to make it a safe environment for not just the customers, but for our staff as well.
And I'd love to take credit, but all credit is to Mr. Lindley, Miss Harold, and Miss McQuay, who have been wonderful helping guide me through this process, because this is my first official budget cycle that I've been through. So they deserve the lion's share of the credit and saving me.
Anybody have any other questions or comments? New business.
Got to turn the mic on. I wanted to talk about capital improvement projects because it's obvious when I go through this that having meetings being able to have meetings again on a more regular basis is going to be important, because there's a lot to talk about. It's been a busy few months. And what I'm going to do right now is we'll probably spend the next 10 minutes or so playing connect the dots, because there's a lot going on with our capital projects. We just wanted just some update. You know, John F. Germany, we're still doing exterior improvements. So if you've been by there, the place looks amazing, thanks to the team working on it. The landscaping around the back of the building is in place, but we're still working on things like coverings so that people can move from the auditorium or to the auditorium from the building without being undercover. So maybe some sail-like walkways and some lighting to decorate the dome to pull us kind of more firmly into the Riverwalk environment. Riverview, what can I say? It's stunning. It's done. The team did an amazing job. We still have like a little bit of landscaping that we're doing along the side of the building. I'm going to say that is the south side of the building in order to screen it a little bit more from the shopping center. But the place looks great, and I hope that we'll have a meeting there very soon, because it's an amazing facility. As I said, when we opened CBA, that was our most beautiful library, and then asterisk until this one opens. It is an amazing site. At our last meeting, we talked about Brandon Library and the fact that we had secured all of the land that we need for the Brandon Library. That project is moving forward. There's a lot of master planning that's being done to the site, because I think, as everyone knows, we have more land than we actually need for the library. So keep that concept in mind, that we have more land than we need for the library, but we should be working on an RFP for an architect with architectural services and real estate soon, because as you know, it takes 6 months or so to get an architect in place, another year of design, and a year of construction. So we're still, at best case scenario, 2.5 years away from swinging the doors open on our new Brandon Library replacement.
Question, real quick. How many parcels of land do we own in Brandon? Are we down to the one, or do we have 2 or 3 now, or what?
We have 3 parcels of land, and it's around 14 acres. And normally we try to get 6. But I'm gonna talk about this coming up, Bob. So if you hang on, we'll talk about the disposition of the stuff that we may not need for the library, because that becomes important coming up. As you know, in last year's budget, we funded a Thanota-Sassa replacement library. We are planning on this year's budget capital projects and over a 2-year cycle to fully fund that project. Half of the budget this year from reserve and half next year. So that will be a fully funded project. In the process of working with Parks and Rec to see about using the existing property to expand the library, it really doesn't work. It really doesn't work. It's a very constrained site. So we just sort of, in a brainstorm with Parks and Rec, who we have an amazing relationship with, said, why don't we do something together here? Because we've talked about doing something together for a while. And we are in negotiations for a piece of property that is, let's say, over 30 acres. That will allow us to expand an existing county park, put in extra features, and have a 15,000 to 18,000 square foot library on the site. If you watch I know it's a scintillating conversation, but if you watch the Board of County Commission meetings, there was an agenda item last board meeting where one of the commissioners asked for it was Commissioner Hagan, asked for a study or a proposal on a joint library park facility in Thanodisasa. That was his support behind this project. So it's a little sensitive, so we're in negotiations. It's an amazing piece of property. The idea of having a beautiful library sitting on a hill, looking over a meadow, where there are in the distance athletic fields and boardwalks and things like that. It's an amazing project. So stay tuned. But again, I know Bob's he's calculating acres. We have more land there than we need. And so we're working with Parks on that project, and we'll end up with a surplus of land. This year in our capital program, we have put in the first marker for a funded Fishhawk Library project, which has been for a long time on or near the top of, after Thanodisasa and a few other things, which, hang on, are near the top of a project to get a Fishhawk Library in development. So at the end of this budget cycle, should it all go through appropriately, we will, like we did for Thanodisasa last year, have the funding in place for the initial work on our Fishhawk Library. And as you know, we own the property already for that location. And so we're going to continue to work with that piece of property. And we may need a little property from the park next door. So there's a little bit of that banked property that we've got in excess that we'll be able to make a trade for. So we'll have a little bit of a shared parking space and access and entry with Parks and Rec at their sports facility going into a Fishhawk Library. Now, I mentioned that we're going to have extra property that may or may not need in these places. So we've already started discussions with the county about finding ways to leverage our property to meet our long-term needs. And it just so happens that Parks owns about 80 acres of property in Apollo Beach, right on the corner of Paseo del Mar and Waterset. So we're investigating the possibility of doing some swapping so that we can get 5 or 6 acres of land in Apollo Beach for a future library there. And when I say future, we're talking 7 or 8 years out. Because as you can hear from this program, it's fairly aggressive. It's a fairly aggressive program over the next 6 or 7 years, meeting the needs, I would say, and I know that Jim is going to back me up here, the long unmet needs of East County for Fishhawk, Apollo Beach, now that Riverview's up and running, and those areas. So, and Thanodisasa, long overdue. Yes.
I was just wondering that Apollo Beach area, there's not much property loose down there that isn't owned by Mosaic or Tico, or are those people cooperating with you at all?
We actually, the county actually already owns a significant piece of property that we're going to be working with them.
Oh, great. That's terrific.
Absolutely.
They know prices have gone up so fast there on property values that except for people that have owned it for a long time, there's just not much opportunity. You know?
Right there with you on that property values issue. That's why when the opportunity arose for us to do a little swapping to get a future piece of property for Apollo Beach, we jumped on it, and stay tuned because that's something that could be in the offing coming up really soon. So we started some discussions.
Population is expanding so fast down there.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like a...
Yeah. The square footage alone that our capital and facility master plan calls for in that region, we could not build libraries fast enough over the next decade to cover it. I had the recent opportunity to drive up 301 from our South Shore Library north. It's one giant suburb. It's a absolute, the growth out there is just absolutely amazing. But there are some other discussions in the works also for our future. We don't, as you all know, we don't own the Tampa Free Library, which is our current administrative office, and the parking lot nearby. We've had it appraised, and there is potential discussions with the city about land swapping to get that in-house permanently instead of just a short-term lease. So we may in fact end this year with our fully funded Thanodisasa, the marker down with some funding for Fishhawk and the land in place, and land for a future Apollo Beach Library and a secure Tampa Free Library for our headquarters. So we're, and when I said, hang on with me, this is going to cut a lot of dots to connect. It's been a busy few months. So any questions? I've had some questions already. Any other questions perhaps about?
Andrew, I was just wondering, we have solar panels, and what about charging stations and maybe vehicles that, they're getting so easy and to get a hold of, maybe going a little further there.
Yeah, we do have charging stations for vehicles at probably about 4 of our library locations now. Those kind of things have to be worked out as the design of the library progresses.
Right.
And at the moment, building buildings to a LEED standard silver is part of the process of building a new facility. So they do look at everything, including solar panels, efficiency, use of materials, and those charging stations in our parking lots.
Because, new cars are moving over so quickly to electric, you're looking at maybe 5 years, 6 years, people won't be able to sell their used cars,
Right.
And as we move into that, charging stations usage will go up immensely.
Yeah, we do have them at several locations. It'd be interesting to see if we can get, because that they aren't free. Customers do have to pay at them. So that is an outside contract that has to be bid with the county. Well, let's see if we can get some usage numbers for you. Be kind of
Right,
interesting.
that'd be terrific. Thank you.
Any other questions about capital projects? Any other? Which will let me roll into the next topic. There has, Commissioner Kemp brought up at a recent meeting of the Board of County Commissioners that there's been a very broad discussion of impact fees in Hillsborough County, and had suggested that impact fees be looked at for other services other than the ones that currently exist. And she specifically singled out impact fees for libraries. So what we've done is we're in the process of engaging a consultant, which is how impact fees are investigated and established, to look at the sufficiency of our current funding structure for meeting the growth needs of library services, based both on the unfunded need and on our capital and facility master plan, to investigate the feasibility or the necessity, if it even exists, to have library impact fees in Hillsborough County. And if it is something that is recommended, what those rates are. However, there are several large areas of investigation that we're going to have them take a look at before going forward, even after a discussion of necessity and feasibility. We have a taxing district in place, and I want to make sure, absolutely certain, that any impact fee established will not have an adverse effect on the taxing district, because that is our funding source by and large. And there is some new legislation out of Tallahassee about establishing and increasing impact fees, and that may have some bearing on the future of this. So we also would like them to do a comparison with other Florida libraries and see what is their funding models and stabilities. So stay tuned. This one will keep you informed on this. This is a commissioner recommendation, so we're moving forward with this. We're not quite sure how this is going to come out. Like I said, up until the discussion, I felt very confident that the taxing district was sufficient for our growth. But we'll see. We'll see what experts recommend when they take a look at a long-term picture of all of our capital needs and operating needs along with those. So we expect an RFP to go out on the street perhaps in the next 2 weeks. And so we'll keep you informed on that one. That's an exciting one. Any questions about that one?
Mike? Growth numbers, like 10, 20, 30, 50 years out, are we still seeing the same increases that we have in the past, or has the COVID-19 situation changed that a little bit?
Yeah, we do not have numbers with COVID influence built into them yet. The numbers that we've seen in reporting in the news recently are consistent growth with COVID in play, with those stresses. We're going to leave that up to the experts to determine for us what those long-term growth possibilities are and how our capital and facility master plan plays into them, and whether our funding sources are sufficient to meet those.
Okay, thank you.
Going to leave that up to the experts. Librarians are smart, but we like to have experts help us out. Other questions about this one? And I think now we're going to, Chelly Cantrell, our library brand innovation officer, is going to come on and talk about some reorganizations to programming.
Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with you this evening and get to actually speak with you. We are making some exciting changes in the way that we deliver our early literacy programming. And I wanted to share that with you today. We're assembling a team of 8 early literacy specialists that will be led by Jason Rogers, our early literacy coordinator. Jason has specialized in early literacy programming both for our organization and his previous one. This team will plan, promote, and present all of our early literacy programming for our system. There's 3 really important developments that will happen because of this change that I wanted to share with you. One is the consistency in the quality of the programming that we will be delivering across the organization, across our system. 2 will be that it'll offer us some more flexibility in dates and times. We'll be able to offer some evening and some weekend early literacy programming, which will make it much more convenient for parents who can't access our programming during the day. Also, if there's one thing that we've learned throughout COVID, if there's one positive thing that's come out of COVID, it's that virtual programming is very popular, and our customers really appreciate being able to access programming on demand from their homes. So virtual programming is something that this team will also offer. That's something that will not go away regardless of what will happen in the future. And the last thing that I really wanted to share about this team and this development is that we will be ensuring that there's a parental education component with every single one of the programs that we offer. So parents will be equipped with actual toolkits so that they can go home and reinforce the concepts that are taught to their children during our early literacy programming. The pandemic's we've spoken about this change for a long time, but the pandemic's kind of helped us to usher this in because the families really have not attended in-person programming for a year now. So a lot of the children that would have attended our early literacy programming have aged out. And this has kind of given us an opportunity to change our presenters. And they've had the opportunity to enjoy programming from a variety of our early literacy presenters throughout the pandemic virtually.
Does anyone have any questions about what we're doing here? Just a few words about this change is that, currently we have early literacy programmers in our branches, and it's whether the size of the branch, the commitment of the staff depend on the quality of the program or the commitment to it. And I just think that the early literacy story times, toddler times, things like that we offer are so important for us to be able to affect a lot of change in the community and kids' future, that we owe it to having a high quality product for everyone in the community, not just because you have the good fortune of living near a library that has a great storytime person. So what Chelly's team is doing is they're going to have committed folks who are trained specifically just do all of it. And for me, I think that's so important in making sure that we have an equitable distribution and an equitable access to storytime programming around the county. Everyone
Andrew,
gets the same change. Yes. Where's that?
Is all of this programming now going to be done virtually?
No. Yeah, this is in person.
How are 8 people going to cover 20 different locations?
Right now, we have a lot of story time programming. We've had some folks doing quite a lot of modeling on this one, Phyllis. We right now, a lot of our our early literacy programming is, Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We know that Tuesday at 10 o'clock doesn't work for every parent and every family. So we're going to be having programming around the county in quite a variety of time slots, even some evenings and weekends when we're back to that. So it's going to be a good diversity of programming. I know that I've heard parents and families say to us many times, I would love to come to story time, but we work on Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning. So we're going to start offering quite a variety of times, not just every one Tuesday morning.
Okay.
Yeah, good question though. Yeah. Other? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Are those the full-time positions that in the budget referenced?
No, they were part of that, but the full-time positions, since this work is not going to be done by the staff in the branch, redistributing folks and pulling out those 8 people are the positions that we're going to be using. A combination of librarians and library guide, senior library, library guide 2 positions. Yep. Good question. Other questions about this before we? Right, stay tuned because this one's a fun one. We actually been talking to our peers around the state about what they're doing. Shelley mentioned virtual programming, and I know Phyllis caught on with that. Many of our peers are not having great success with their virtual programming. We're having amazing success. Our attendance per program is it's 2/3 of the attendance in live programs. That's the test to the quality that we can do when we have dedicated folks with skill working at it. So Shelley's team and our early literacy folks and all of our programming folks have been doing an amazing job pulling together the talent from around the system, making these valuable programs. So very, very pleased with what they're doing. We've got 2 other programs that have just kicked off recently that we want to, Jackie Zebos, our Division Manager for Public Service, is going to talk about borrow by mail and read or reject.
Hello, everybody. It's good to be back together. It's been a long time, and I have some fun stuff to share with you. We've done a lot of innovative things, if I do say so myself, during the pandemic in order to maintain our level of service for customers. One of the services that we debuted is called Borrow by Mail, and it gives customers an opportunity to select that as a location for their holds, and we box up the books that they've chosen, mail them right to their mailbox, and it's proved to be very, very popular during this time. I think it probably will continue to be. In fact, this year, just since January, we've had 4,000 customers choose that as their delivery choice for books, and it's been over 16,000 items. So very robust and very popular with the customers. Very convenient to get something delivered right to your house. Another great program that we started, this was one of Andrew's brainchilds during the beginning of the pandemic, and it's a program called Read or Reject. And it's a virtual reader's advisory service. There's a web form up on our website where people can enter some information about the kind of books that they like, Westerns featuring alien abduction or romance or whatever it is. And our librarians go to the shelves and find some books that we think they will like. They write a little handwritten note, throw it in the box. Shelley's team did a fantastic job with graphics, which you may have seen on our social media. They get mailed right to the customer, and it's a surprise for them when they open the box. They don't know what they're going to get, and they take a look through them and decide if they're going to read them or reject them. And we've created a hashtag for use on our social media, and we've had some great posts from customers about how excited they were to receive the boxes and the notes from the librarians. And I have to tell you, our librarians have been really, really excited about doing this program because it really plays to their strengths, the things that they love, books, and helping people find their next favorite book. Oh, and just real quickly, the day that it went live, we had over 450 people sign up the first day. And by the end of the first month, we'd have over 600. So it just totally blew the doors off. Big success.
Jackie, this is Phyllis. I haven't tried Read or Reject, but I have used Borrow by Mail and I love it. It works great. The books come quickly. They're in good shape. I get extra time to read them and I can just drop them off in the book drop when I'm finished with them. So I absolutely love it.
Great. It's great to hear that testimonial, Phyllis. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Does anyone have any questions for Jackie about this? The Read or Reject actually allows us to go deeper into our collection than many customers do, because people come into the library and they browse and they go right to the new books where they've got their bestseller list. So the staff who work with these collections all the time get to show off their knowledge. I know when we first started developing this, the concept that was in our heads kind of is really spread out there. By the way, I think Sean described this as our Warby Parker project. Or where you get a box of things and you decide whether you like them or not. You can keep one or send the rest back. The staff have done an amazing job of picking stuff and keeping customers satisfied. We're waiting to see the hashtags show up in social media. I know Kelly's group is monitored. We've had a few, but the program just started, so we're hoping that it will be a little bit more robust with the hashtags soon.
A question for you on this: is it centrally located, or does each branch do it for their own members?
I'm gonna use my limited knowledge of the operation of it, Bob, and tell you that the intake is central for the well, let's start with Borrow by Mail. Is that the one you're talking about, or you're talking about the Read or Reject?
Read or Reject. Is it only limited?
Yeah.
Is it any book available in the system, or is it only at a certain facility that the books are pulled from?
No, it's all the facilities. So what happens is that the intake is central, and then the selections are farmed out around the system, depending on collection. So if you happen to have, if the person's looking for mystery novels and this particular location right now has a good collection, that's where that one goes, and the staff work on it. So it's all of the professional librarians in the system are participating in this in some fashion.
Okay, thank you.
Nice, good question. Other questions or any other new business?
Want to do your director's report?
I'll say we're whipping through. So, director's report. We had some questions earlier. Someone, I think, Michael, you asked if we had any vacant positions on the board. We do. We still have two. And, there was a District 2 and a District 4. But those positions were going to, if they were appointed 2 months ago or 3 months ago, would have been partial, and then we would have had to go back out again. So because we were having limited meetings, the county has chosen to hold. Those should be advertised very soon. And we have two positions that are coming up for renewal. District 3 with Felicia and District 1 with Maggie. So your positions, I'm hoping you're both gonna reapply. But we have two vacancies again, one for District 2 and one for District 4. So those announcements should be coming out soon. And we'll start working with community groups and commissioners' offices to see what we can rustle up.
I just wanted to suggest to our group that Luann Fanley had sent me a note a week ago or so about a lot of vacancies that have occurred through this whole COVID timeframe, right. And that I thought we had a couple vacancies still, and I was just hoping that if any of us present in this room know of individuals that might have an interest. I think it's so wonderful when people can have an interest and get involved both. And a lot of people through COVID have lost their jobs, quit working, semi-retired, whatever the stage, but they might have time. And I know I'm retired, so I can do whatever I want. And I love being here. So if anybody knows any people where their interests and their lives have changed a little bit, it might be a great time to find some people that we could get involved, especially there's a lot of boards that have openings right now. And there are people actively marketing those right now. So thank you.
Yeah, I know even before this past year, the amount of applicants that we see coming into boards and councils has dropped a little bit. So it's we're going to try to dig a little deeper, work with the commissioner's offices a little closer, and see if we can get them to assist us in locating some people that they might recommend to fill these positions. So, the other thing I wanted to talk about was our reopening status, where we are and what's possibly coming down the pike. So at the moment, I know in October, I looked at the minutes and I just felt like, oh my gosh, that was so far away. We were talking about getting our phase 2 plan approved and moving into phase 2 of reopening. We are pretty much done phase 2 reopening at this moment. All of our libraries, with a few minor exceptions, and I'll talk about those, are open at a 50% capacity. Saunders, this particular location is still unavailable because of the extensive use of the meeting facilities by the county. And Lutz and North Tampa, which had opened back up, are closed temporarily while renovations are going on. So that leaves the only 2 locations that we haven't worked with are Sulphur Springs and Egypt Lake. And those are partnership locations that are inside school libraries. We'll be bringing those back open June 1st just after school ends. So they'll be opening back up. And at that point, June 1st, we will be fully implemented on our phase 2 reopening plan. Now we have to get our crystal ball out and kind of look at what possibly is coming for the next few months. So we're going to develop a phase 3 reopening plan that will basically just take us through the summer to the beginning of the fiscal year, so through the end of September. And there's a lot of if going on there that we're really having to deal with because we just don't know what the effect of changing positivity rates and vaccination numbers, and there's all kinds of concepts out there about herd immunity. And I know we fully expect to see in the next month or 2 some changes in the masking requirements, even indoor. So we do fully expect to see that coming. We also are expecting some changes from CDC and the Florida Department of Health, possibly to social distancing guidelines, because as you've noticed, many places around the world have dropped social distancing to 1 meter. Not that we'll be using any foreign measurements, but we do expect to see some of those distancing measures drop a little bit. That will have a major effect on what we're able to include in our next rounds of operating. Because right now, a lot of what we're doing is based on the social distancing guidelines that are enforced in the workplace. We have a lot of workrooms where we have staff working from them, and the workplaces just don't meet social distancing guidelines. So we've moved a lot of staff out of existing workrooms, and they're working out of some of our meeting rooms. While we still have a lot of entry guidelines in place, that limits the amount of things that we can do throughout the day. I've been telling people that we've spent the last 2 decades making everything in the library as self-service as possible. And we just spent the last year making everything incredibly hands-on, which means there's a lot more staff involvement in those. So a lot of things that we would like to get done or move toward are kind of governed by the availability of resources. So those are some things that we do expect. And the things that are, if you just, I'll come back. Some of the things that we would like to do, summer, we hope to bring back our passport services because that is something that inside of a plexi bubble, we could do passing papers back and forth to help people start that process again. We would like to, at the end of summer, sometime bring back some in-person adult programming that is staff-led. Some things that we can social distance and do a program like adult technology programs or maybe reading discussions or something like that, where we can control the number of people in the room and the behavior while those requirements on us are still in place. You know, a lot of the stuff that we would love to bring back is dependent on the social distancing guidelines and the rules about entry and use of facilities that are in place in the county. We would love to have additional PCs, and we've moved some furniture around to accommodate that. But we're still while we're still 6 foot social distancing, some of our PCs will still remain unavailable. A lot of our furniture, unfortunately, is still not able to be brought back because we're trying to maintain the occupancy levels and the distancing. Things like recording studios and hives and early learning hives will come back as those distancing guidelines are relaxed, as will the small study rooms, probably earlier than meeting rooms coming back. That's one of the larger, by statistics and usage of libraries, it's not one of the major things we do, but it's one of the higher profile things that we do. So meeting rooms, and as soon as the social distancing guidelines drop, we would love to begin welcoming some volunteers, especially those who are working in our friends' bookstores, back into the library. But until those guidelines change, we're kind of stuck in a holding pattern. We're developing plans to be ready once those are in adjustment. So we're just kind of in a holding pattern right now, waiting. Yeah, Michael, you have a question?
Andrew, I'm glad you addressed that. It seems to me, and I probably am involved in too many different groups, but it seems to me that right now, from variants to rules that have been put in place that were never really vetted, it was all emergency work. And now every day you see CDC and like groups that are all made up of PhDs that don't seem to know much about what regular people do. You see rules changing really fast. You know, if you're inside the cube, you don't have to wear your mask. Of course, there is a hole in the top, you know. It seems to me that probably you would be well suggested if you maybe could think about, and I know this is a big ask, maybe putting together a small committee, I think made up of some board members and possibly some members of your team that could on a monthly basis meet on Zoom or however it seemed best for you and just talk about things like the Brazilian variant. There are 1 million people that go back and forth from Brazil in Florida. And the Brazilian variant is practically has nothing to do with the vaccines that I took. You know, other things that are happening in places like England and things where people go back and forth all the time are going to have a direct interest on what happens here. You know, the plexiglass people are doing fine, but people are dying. I see states where infection rates are going up 40%. And I see the future with people that you list out on TV, look like they know what they're talking about, talking really, really dim. And it's still a political issue when it should have never been a political issue. And I know people here in the emergency medicine business very well that are very confused in how to give advice to people like the commissioners and what they should be looking at 3 months out. And I would just suggest that possibly you might consider some kind of a small committee that might meet regularly to just make some suggestions about how we could stay in front of this tsunami that's picking up speed and it's not asking permission.
Well, Michael, may I address that? I think that it goes beyond probably our advisory scope, and I think there are experts, and I would leave it to the staff of the library. But I do think that just like we all have expertise in different areas, if you have suggestions, emailing our Araceli, so Araceli can put it out improperly noticed and stuff, would probably be the best course of action. Because I don't think that a committee, that there's anything we could suggest that we couldn't put in an email to have them consider. I just think it would add on to the work. I mean, there's so much work to be done. And the other thing I was going to say after you were done your director's report are the one thing about COVID that nobody I don't think expected is, you know, our library mission, we promote lifelong learning and informed citizenry, individual intellectual freedom, enhanced quality of life, and broadened horizons for all residents of Hillsborough County. Talk about broadening horizons. these innovative things that you guys have had to do in the last year and a half is phenomenal. And to have the program attendance and still have people engaging with us online. I've talked to people that are dying to get into the buildings. They're dying to get their kids back in. You guys know your lane big time. And so I think we need to stay in our lane as a board and make individual suggestions to you guys in a way that you can manage what's coming in, the information that's coming in.
Yeah, and I can address that as well. I mean, while the library is a significant organization within the community, and I will go on endlessly about how the staff are amazing here in a minute. We are part of a larger organization in Hillsborough County, and there are those who have expertise in what you're asking. And while it's a great idea, I like the way you've described it. It's kind of out of our lane. And we would just be adding our lack of expertise as another voice in that discussion. We'll elevate that to our emergency operations, but as a part of the county, we all of these things that we are doing are part of a larger plan that is vetted by facilities, human resources, the Florida Department of Health, risk management, the Board of County Commissioners. So we are not operating in a vacuum, as it were, in order to bring our services back. So it's a very measured.
I wasn't suggesting that you were. And you're probably one of the smartest guys I've ever met. And I was on the healthcare board for 5 years, so I know all the people, doctors that are in charge. I was just suggesting, though, I know you've done some wonderful things to stay out in front and manage services, increase usage, and you're really out there. I just, right now, we're at a little bit of a point, an inflection point, it seems to me, that could change direction pretty quickly. And so many people come back and forth to Florida and they all bring it and they all leave it, and it's just, I find it a little concerning. But anyway, you want to manage it, I'll do whatever I can to help. I just love the fact that everybody here is so interested and they want to do what's best. And I just hope it's the best, as we go forward.
I agree. And we will, we'll definitely share this with the folks that handle that for the county, and the full suggestion from our minutes, we'll share that.
Andrew, can I ask a curiosity question?
Absolutely.
I know that you've been taking people's temperature when they come in the building. I'm curious if you're finding people are coming and you have to turn them away because they have a fever.
I don't know that there's been an instance where someone, I actually didn't pass the temperature screening at one of our locations. So I know that they're actually monitoring that well, at least on me. But after a few moments of cool down from being out in the sun, I do not know personally of an incident. I would have to look at incident reports, but I've not heard of an instance where someone was denied entry overall because of temperature. Our biggest screening challenges have to do with masks and the variation between the administrative directive about entering county facilities and the county's ordinance about masking. So there's a little bit of variation between those. And I know that's being addressed now, but that's really been our only challenge on entry has been masking, not temperature checks. As the rules for entry adjust, we fully expect at some point down the road, sometime this summer, unless things just go really south, we're fully expecting to move to a more self-service model of facilities checks. That would be a welcome news for the staff. But I don't think I've heard of any, anecdotally, Phyllis, I just don't think I've heard of anyone being denied entry where a few moments of cool down in the side of the lobby didn't change the temperature.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Good. Other questions, concerns? Now I'm going to wax endlessly about, in my last 4 minutes, about the staff. And you are right, you hit the nail on the head. We have the most amazing staff. They have stepped up at every turn here. They have served without complaint at the time, and they deserve to complain later, in every possible capacity in the county. At one point, we had over over 250 of our staff members serving in some emergency capacity outside of the library. That's unheard of for any kind of an emergency that we've been involved in up to this point. We still have a few. We have maybe, I think, 11 folks that are still serving in some kind of an emergency capacity. So it is a minimal amount. But the way that people have been able to pivot, and I know you're probably tired of you're probably over pivoting to the word pivot. It's from offering the vast array of services to help people meeting those challenges that you just read off, to offering things digitally, helping people remotely, creating online content, then moving toward the sort of very unknown step at the time of interacting with people in the driveway with curbside, and that was quite a mark for the staff to then begin interacting with the public again as early as we did back in October. And now to welcoming folks back into the building, albeit in a limited capacity. These guys have done an amazing job, and each and every one of them deserves a lot more thanks than I'm able to give them. Fortunately, our county administrator has agreed, and as part of a package on the Board of County Commissioners authorized an additional 2 floating holidays for every employee as a thank you. She's really not able to do cash bonuses as a public entity, so we've got an additional 2 floating holidays for every employee. And I'm very, very proud that they were able to make use of that. So, super proud of every single one of them.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
it's the reason why we were the 2019 Florida Library of the
Florida
Year.
Library of the Year, exactly. There's the staff we're feeling very taxed. We put in quite a few hours at the stadium. We had 40 or 50 folks at the stadium, hours every day, assisting with the testing sites. I think over 50,000 hours of service at the stadium by the library staff alone. So it's quite an endeavor that they've put through, and I'm very proud of every one of them. I think they've done a great job. So, super job.
Do you have more for your director's report, or?
No, I think that's it.
Wow. Well, I would say one of the big contributions of this board has been to do short meetings. Actually, on behalf of the citizens and the board, I am really proud that you don't think about librarians, rising to the occasion of a public situation the way you think about firefighters, or and when the hurricane happened, they rose to the occasion, and when the pandemic happened and all throughout, they rose to the occasion. It's we're grateful to them. We're grateful to their spirit of community and their dedication to public service, definitely. But also, I'm personally grateful to all of you, because we wouldn't have a quorum if you weren't willing to meet in person. And so this is I appreciate that, because I think we're getting, as part of our dedication to the community and the obligation that we kind of made when we accepted being board members, we're able to represent our districts the way that they would probably expect us to, now that we're able to vote for things and provide some actionable advice to our director. So thank you guys very much for being willing, and for our board members who aren't able to make it, thank you guys for still showing up on Zoom, because your expertise and the information that you provide and the questions that you ask are always great.
I believe we had participation by every sitting board member today.
Yeah,
So
it's wonderful to be back.
Absolutely
with everybody.
wonderful.
I
One
missed
format
you.
or another. Yes, no, thank you. Definitely. It's pleasant to see everyone again.
Yes. I even made a Facebook post, which reminds me. So you guys are going to send us the activity report so we can kind of see where that is. I'm
Yes.
anticipating a very high,
Yeah.
like I wonder if it affects our bandwidth and when the stuff that people are, that has got to be like, what people are trying to pull off online. The other thing is the advocacy report. We've had a lot of time to tell people about, and I'm sure a lot of people miss the library. So just the fact that the library has been physically closed, the buildings have been closed, even though they've had online access, has generated people, I miss the library. So this is our window to really put it out to your friends, neighbors, social media posts, if you have social media accounts, and remind people that how amazing our library system is and why we're so wonderful. So other than that, if you guys are ready to adjourn,
Question?
sir?
Yes, Bob.
Yes. Currently, we are meeting every other month. Do we have a plan to get back to a normal meeting schedule?
That's going to be up to the membership of the board. So that's going to be up to your pleasure as to whether you change the frequency of the meeting from last time.
That's a great question. We're scheduled to meet Thursday, July 22nd at 4 p.m. Format and location to be announced. Would you like to make a motion to meet before then? Or do you guys want to meet in July and let's play it by ear?
Well, the reason I brought up the question was Andrew mentioned it was very, very busy the last few months. I would like to make a motion that after our July meeting that we go back to a monthly schedule.
Anybody want to second that, or do you have a question, Michael?
Yeah, if I was going to make a suggestion about meetings, I think right now, it's so difficult.
Excuse me, 1 second. We have a second? Thank you. Sorry, go ahead, Michael.
It's so difficult when you look at the budget numbers to make any sense out of them when they're several months together. If we're going to be involved, I think we have to be a little more serious. And I think 3 months is a really long period of time right now. I would like to go to monthly meetings. I think this setup's very nice. And even if people can't come, they can still go on Zoom. They couldn't vote, but as long as we had a quorum, which you're so wonderful to put together today, I still think we should try to have monthly meetings,
All right.
especially with things opening up a lot as we go forward.
We'll have if it's okay, July, we'll do a vote to meet monthly, go back to our monthly schedule. So our next meeting, so everybody knows, is Thursday, July 22nd at 4 p.m. And Araceli will put out the format and location. And if we, hopefully we can get a quorum again and move forward and do that vote. Thank you all. And that's the end of our first 2021 Public Library Board meeting.
Oh, we don't have a quorum right now?
We do. Actually, you have a quorum today. Did you want to vote on that?
Did you want to vote today, or did you want to vote in July? Because I thought that was your suggestion of voting in July.
No, we can vote today, but my motion was our next meeting still be July, but then we go monthly after that.
And you had a second.
Then let me put that out there. Is there, he's making a motion to vote today to start meeting monthly after the July meeting. So then the monthly meetings would be August, September, etc. Is there a second to that motion?
I think Jim seconded.
James Johnson seconded. Any other discussion against it or that we haven't heard already? Favor say
I'd
aye.
like to make a motion that
You have to do a roll call vote. In this kind of a format, we advise a roll call vote.
Okay.
Okay.
My bad. Let's do a roll call vote then. Thank you.
Phyllis Alpert,
Yes.
thank you. Carmen Alvarez, she's here?
She may have dropped off.
No, okay. Bob Argus,
Yes?
Jim Johnson. Maggie Martirosian is a yes. Andy Martin? Yes. Shelley McClellan? Okay. Okay. Michael Newitt?
no,
Felicia Pecora?
Yes.
Abigail St. Clair?
Yes.
So the motion carries then. Starting July, we'll be meeting monthly in this format, try it in person, and then those that can't make it by Zoom. Very good.
More than this in the room. So everyone is not limited. We're not limiting the room to the quorum.
I know that it's after the vote, so it's kind of after the fact, but I just want to mention that July is kind of the middle of the summer when a lot of people there fewer people are here than, to use the library, or even, a lot of people go on vacation and stuff for the summer.
Right,
I just want to mention that.
that's the normal things we deal with though. Yeah. All right, well, thank you guys, and then now we are adjourned.